Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the early introductions of peanuts and peanut butter, which is a fear for a lot of parents, myself included. I have three small children, so navigating this each time can be a little scary. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts about that, and what do you know about introducing peanut foods early?
Yeah, being complete honest, I didn't even think about it. I don't have too much education about peanuts, but when I read that it helps with the peanut allergy, I was like, wow, that's pretty smart.
And over time, people started to look at kids that have peanut that were introduced because culturally it was part of their culture. Those young kids, they didn't develop food allergies nearly as much. So that was the kind of the basis of doing a very big study that came out in 2015 that said, hey, let's take kids that are high risk, and we call high risk kids those with severe eczema, egg allergy, or both, and let's take kids with less risk and let's follow them. Let's give half of them peanut and the other half not. Let's introduce peanut at 4 to 6 months and the other group let's not. And then we can follow them and say, how many of these kids develop a severe peanut allergy? And the take home point after the data was all calculated was that there was about an 80% drop in peanut allergy in the group that had peanuts introduced early. So before we talk about that, is there any history of food allergies or other allergies in your family? You have one daughter, so no siblings right now, but any other family members that have allergies of any kind?
You know what? So on my family side, we never really had food allergies or any type of allergens. At least it was never really explored on my side. And then when I married my husband, I actually found out that on his dad's side of the family, they do have more food allergens. So I think they have a citrus allergy in the family. And then one of the members on his side of the family has a peanut allergy. But I mean, not a ton of allergens that we're really familiar about. That I think actually came up later in life for both of one of his family members. So definitely new territory for me to look into.
Difference in prevention, but it's also when kids are ready. We want infants to be ready for new textures and foods. Having that new texture, sometimes infants will just spit it out, and that's not an allergy. They just maybe aren't ready for it. So that's the time frame. And how to do it, it's very easy. And there are a lot of recipes you can see online, but you can mix 2 teaspoons of peanut butter in 2 teaspoons of warm water or breast milk or formula. Just dissolve that and feed it with a spoon. We don't want you to put peanut butter in the bottle because that doesn't work. But dissolving peanut powder or peanut butter with a little bit of hot water or breast milk does a great job of thinning it up, making it a consistency that many infants find it's just fine. If they do okay, so you mixed a little peanut butter with water or with breast milk or formula and they did fine, then you can give it again a couple of days later and have it be a regular part of their diet. And all of a sudden you've exposed this infant to this protein, and they accept it and won't have the reaction later in life.
You can make sure that when you start it, you do it early on in the morning. Mix it up a little bit in that puree and spoon feed it. I see him looking at us, listening, but you can give him a little bit. Wait about 10 minutes just to see how he reacts. Now, there's some kids that, they'll do what we call that behavior reaction. They may not want the spoon up to their mouth, so they'll turn their head. So it doesn't mean they're having an allergic reaction, but that's just something that a lot of children will do. They may even take it and throw it back at you. So again, that's not an allergic reaction. Children that have an allergic reaction, which again, like I said, is very rare, one of the number one symptoms is that they'll vomit or throw it back up after a few minutes. Some kids will be flushed in the face. Some may even have hives that will break out over their skin, either locally or all over.
It's a good idea to do it at a time when you can watch that infant for a couple of hours and make sure. Food allergies are usually very quick. They don't happen a day later in most cases. So watching an infant for a couple of hours, introducing just one food at a time makes sense because you'd like to know if there's a reaction to which food it was, and just keeping an eye on things and seeing how they do.
Any other questions or concerns at this time?
Do you think that it's comfortable enough to do it at home? Like, you think now, like in this time period, we're good to just do it at home and not do what the internet does and go to the hospital before doing it?
Yeah, as long as you're comfortable, I would try just a little bit
Okay.
and wait about 10 minutes once you give them that little bit of that little teaspoonful.
And I want to kind of gauge how you feel about that because I know introducing allergens can be scary for some parents.
Yeah, totally. I had no idea about peanut introducing that would help prevent them from allergies, which is amazing study. So I'm comfortable with it. I probably will start at the 4 month mark. Probably not won't be one of her first foods, but once I can see that she gets her solids down, we'll probably start with one fruit or vegetable every couple of days or weeks kind of thing.